Hello there. This is Lady O with Tea Talk. Welcome to our show. We're so happy to have you here. And I have a very, very special guest that I want you to meet just a little bit later on. But before she comes on, I want you to go ahead and make sure you call someone and tell them about this show. Let me give you a little snippet. She has a program that is called Breaking Limitations. How many of you know that you could be operating at a deficit where you are operating with some limitations on your life? And so she's going to give you some tidbits about how to identify them. And she's going to go through all the different roles because she's been there as a mother, as a wife, as an entrepreneur. She has a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful program that she has in helping women to break limitations. So go ahead and share with someone, share it on your Facebook, send it to your teenage girls, send it to your young adults because they are going to want to know all this information that we as women need to know so that we can soar to the greatest heights that God has for us. So without further ado, I would like for you to welcome to Tea Talk, Amy. Hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
And I know I usually call you Joyce and I go, Amy Joyce, I'm sorry.
Yes, no.
Joyce, right?
They're all my names.
Okay.
They're all so you
Well,
can use either, that's fine.
well, thank you so much. And thank you for being on Tea Talk. I have just so anticipating you being here. So I am very, very happy that we finally got to make it.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I was looking forward to it, and I just made sure to avail myself so that we can be able to have this session. So I'm really, really excited and honored to be here today.
Yes. Well, so many women are going to be blessed. And even with me, when I talk to you and I am sharing with you about the things that I believe God is about to birth in my life, beginning with the book that I am going to finish this year.
Yes.
I started it a couple of years ago and put it away. We had the pandemic. But this year, I'm going to pick it up, and I'm saying it publicly so I can be held accountable that it will be finished by the conference next year. And we'll have to have to come back because the book will be finished. And I want you to talk about that because it talks about the little girl inside of us and how she causes us to have limitations and things like what you've been sharing. So, so this is very, very important, our time today. So first of all, tell me about breaking limitations. Where did you get that from and what does it mean?
So breaking limitations just mean a limitation is anything that stops you from doing what you need to do. And so when the word breaking limitations came up to me, I wasn't even thinking of anything big about it. I was having a women's event. It was called the Queen's event. And so the theme for that week, for that event was breaking limitations. And I thought, when I used that word, I just thought, okay, after I finish, that's the end of it. But the Holy Spirit kept telling me that this is not the end of breaking limitations. And so I kept using it as a hashtag until God started revealing to me what he wanted to do. He said it was bigger than what I was thinking. To me, all I thought was a hashtag. But then now God started revealing to me that, okay, this is actually going to be bigger than what you think. It's going to be something you'll talk about for a long period of time. And so I kept just talking about it a little bit, but I didn't know the magnitude in which God wanted to make it become. And so now looking back then and now, I'm just amazed at what God is doing. God is very strategic.
Yes, he is. And he keeps at it because he wants you to get it and he wants you to move out on it. So I'm so happy that you are the voice of God and you are obedient to God. So, so before we get started, I always want to ask the ladies about their childhood, the little girl in them. So tell me about what was Joyce like as a little girl?
Like both my names, Joyce comes from joy, and then Amy means like, being happy. So both my names actually mean that's someone who's happy. And I used to be a very happy kid. I used to like to laugh a lot, and I was very playful. And every end of semester, my parents used to be told she is intelligent, but she's very playful. Like,
you were that social person in the classroom, right?
yes, I used to always want to have fun. And so I was like, okay, we can study, but let's also have fun. And so I used to always be in spaces where I could have fun, where I could laugh. And then also I loved music. So I always used to, the places that I knew I could get music was in the church. So I used to go to church even during holidays when other kids were maybe doing other things. I would go to church because I knew that would have access, maybe someone would be there to help us sing or would practice and all that. So I love music. I loved music back then, and I love music now. And it's all kinds of music, not just Christian music, all kinds. So I love music. Mm-hmm.
Well, yes. I'm way out my daughter, I think it was my granddaughter the other day, was asking me about music because she's into opera and all these kinds of things. And I told her, I like all kinds of music. I think the only one that I don't really care too much for is that heavy metal music, but country, Western, whatever it is, I can jazz. I love it all. And it is soothing to the soul, and it speaks to your soul. So I'm with you on that one. So then I grew up. Did you grow up in Kenya?
Yes, I grew up in Kenya until I was around 16. So I grew up in Kenya, and I went to high school there. I finished high school when I was 16. So, and then that's when I came to the US to go to college. And so coming to US, of course, I didn't have my parents with me. I didn't have the parental guidance. So it was basically up to me to figure things out in life. So,
my goodness, coming to everything. Wow. Were you afraid?
I wasn't afraid. I was excited, looking forward to life. You know how I was naive.
Is that Amy? So just, hey, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes, I'm just like, so I thought the way we watch movies and see how America looks like, maybe that's how it's gonna be. And so my sisters were here. So when I came here, I got the reality shock where things are not the way they look in the movies.
Oh, I can only imagine. So, but I'm sure you ran into a lot of reality checks.
Yes, I went through so there are a lot of things that I experienced. First, it's you speaking English, but no one understands what you're saying. So that in itself made me feel like, oh my gosh, it almost makes you feel inferior because people will be like, what? What are you saying? I don't understand you. And then I went to work. I worked at Wendy's and McDonald's. No, not McDonald's, KFC. And then they put me on drive-through. And then people order, you ask them what they want. They're like, what? What are you saying? So they drive to the window because they're irritated with your accent. And so that was my reality. So already I came to this new country. Everything is so different. And then I have all these different experiences, but all those experiences were telling me that you're not good enough, or you're inferior, or you're just not, like, you don't have what it takes. And so with that mentality, I just growing up, we were not in the richest of neighborhoods or anything like that. So you already grow up feeling, you already knowing that, okay, I'm struggling here to fit in, or I'm doing this. And then you come to this new country where people are treating you this way. They reinforce what you're already feeling. So they reinforce that you're not good enough. They reinforce that we cannot put you, or some people would just say, we cannot put you here. We'll have to put you there because of your accent or because of this. And so decisions like that. So after some time, you find yourself not looking even for jobs that require you to speak a lot. Maybe you can just take care of patients and work in a group home where because you feel like, I can't work in an office. Yeah. So those already are just limitations that you experience, but you don't even realize that life is shaping you to just limit yourself. So I never even, like when I was in Kenya, I had worked in an office before. I was I'd worked in different offices before, but when I came here, I never looked for an office job because I just felt like the struggle of now having them telling me XYZ and all that, I couldn't do it. So I worked in a group home for a while, but then one time I was so tired because I working several jobs and I fell asleep. And
Oh,
God,
oh, you got fired. Okay, so
and I
reality check number 2. You will be fired. Go to
yes,
sleep.
so I fell asleep, and because I used to work 2 jobs and then I would go to school full time. And
Yes.
so I used to work. So it was really, I was so exhausted. I came to work and I just fell asleep on the couch and I slept my body was shut down.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So I'm sitting here listening, you saying, I was born this girl in Kenya and I'm all joyful and happy and liking to talk and communicate. And you
Mhm,
this big country with all of these joyful things you're thinking, you get here,
mhm,
first thing is no, this is not going to be happy for you over here. You're not.
mhm.
And so you go from happy to being fearful.
Yes, you want to protect yourself. So you
Yeah.
feel like I don't want to put myself out there because I don't want to be rejected.
Yeah.
So I'll just put myself in situations where I know that this is all I can do, and put yourself in this little space and say, okay, this is all I can do. And so for me, being fired in that job was like the best gift because I said to myself, I am not going to work. I'm not going to work with patients. I'm not going to work in group homes. I'm not going to do those jobs because I don't like those jobs. And there's nothing wrong with doing them, but that's not my thing.
They hard work and long hours. My mother was a nurse, so I know the hours that they
Yes.
have to work and stay awake.
Yes, because even my sisters are nurses and they've all gone to like different kind of some kind of medical school. And I knew that's not the path I wanted. I wanted to be in business, work in an office. And so from that time, I ended up applying to signing up with 10 temporary agencies because I said, I know if I sign up with one, one might give me a job. And then after 2-3 weeks, then they say, okay, the assignment is over. Then I needed to have something else. So in order to have consistency, I registered with 10 temp agencies.
Oh,
So
goodness.
yeah, because I said, I'm going to work in an office no matter what. So even if they send me to work here for 2 days and then they send me somewhere else to work for 3 weeks and send me somewhere else to work for, it didn't matter. So
Back to McDonald's or the chicken place.
no, but I know. I was like, ooh, I said, I'm going to only work in an office. And so I did that for some time, maybe like almost 2 years. And then I found one job where they really liked me. They were like, we want to hire you. We don't want you to be a temp. Because they kept me for a long period of time. And then they said, we want to hire you. Then they hired me. And that's when I got like a job where I have a salary, I have
They
insurance.
give money, not minimum wage, huh? Those, those
Yes,
places they know you're anxious, so they put you in there at the window and pay you minimum wage and work you crazy. But
yes.
I want to stop for a minute just to kind of soak in a little bit about what you're saying because I'm hearing your heart,
Mhm,
and I'm seeing there are a lot of other women who are in the same situation. They are
mhm.
stuck in something they don't like doing because they feel there's nothing else they can do or that
Correct.
they're good enough to do this.
Mhm,
And so,
mhm,
can you speak to those women to kind of what kept you going? I mean, your mom was not here. You did have your sister, but you're a
mhm.
young lady, and you know, you want to switch, you want to pivot, you don't want to be there, but you
Mhm.
bills and things to pay. So how do you do that? What's your mindset like at that time?
During that time, when if you're if like if there's something else you want to do, I would recommend go ahead and do it. And even if you're getting paid less than what you think you want. Because what I did was when I started working with temp agencies, they sent me to different offices all over Houston. And I worked, but in every assignment that I got, they used to teach me something. Because they would teach me, okay, you have to know how, this is how we want you to answer the phones. This is how we want you to enter this data entry, or this is how we want you to do this in Excel. Things that used to intimidate me, like Excel used to intimidate me, Access, all those used to intimidate me. But every assignment you get, they kind of have to train you. And so the training that they were giving me, I was able to add that to my resume. So when I'm sent somewhere else, they see, oh, she not only answers the phone, she can also do Microsoft Word and Excel.
That's
And
very good. That's a very good tip, because stay in there, don't quit, learn what you can where you are,
yes,
because it's preparing you for your next.
next,
You put it on
yes.
today, and
Mhm.
you get free training.
Exactly. So I got free training actually in learning how to use different phone systems, learning every company had its own different thing that I would gain from. And so I added all those different things to my resume. Then one time this place called me and they said that they wanted they're looking for a trainer, someone who can train Microsoft Office. And they saw in my resume that
So now you're training other people who like
the
you got
so
right.
no, they gave me the offer because I was making at that time it was way back then. I was making $7.50, then $7.50 an hour to $8. Then this person tells me, we want you to come and become a trainer, we'll pay you $15. And I was
Ooh.
like, I don't care what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it, but I'm taking the job. I said, yes, I can do it. Did the interview, then I went home and I got the book because they gave me the book, the Microsoft Office book that has all these different sections. And I was like planning, like I used to read like I was studying for my.
That is so funny, because now the thing that you're saying to the ladies in there, don't be afraid if you can't do it,
Do
but
it afraid.
and do it. Yeah, even though you're afraid, go ahead and do it. With my conference that just passed, that was the thing we said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So
Yes.
even you don't really know how to do it, the opportunity presents itself. You have to
Mhm.
rise to the challenge. And you just said you rose
Yes.
by studying like you were studying for a bar exam or something.
Yes. Every single night because I had to plan, like I had to do like a lesson plan that I would train on. And so every single night I used to study and do examples and all kinds of things so that I could learn how to do it on the computer because I didn't really know it. And then the next day I would go to class and just teach them exactly the way I did it. And then even tell them I have examples here we can do together, who needs help, and I did that. Then I became really good at it. And most of those people were much older than me because they were transitioning from different careers to now starting to use Microsoft and all those different things. And so some of them used to be really mean to me. They would say all kinds of stuff, even about my accent. Oh, we can understand you. What are you saying? I don't know what. And I remember one particular guy who was really, really mean. And he used to ride the bus and he had the bus ticket, the day pass.
Right?
So I guess, yeah, so he used to have that. And I didn't know even about the day pass or anything like that. So he used to ride the bus every single day. He would come to the classroom. He would always have all these remarks. And I was really young. I was like in my early 20s, like maybe 21, 22 there. So he would say all these different comments in class about my accent and everything. And then one day when he was trying to go home, he couldn't find his bus
Oh,
ticket. And so he looked for it everywhere. He came back to class. Now he started talking to me, Miss Joyce, have you seen my bus ticket and everything? And he couldn't go home because he didn't have any money.
Right.
So I went and just said, oh, okay, you know what? If you can't find it, let me just give you money. I just gave him money. I said, here, go pay for the bus so you can we can go home.
Right.
He was like so thankful. But then now after that, the next day, he was like night and day. Now he used to protect me from the other mean people.
Look here, you won him over with kindness, you know, hey. And that's a good thing because, you know, some of us, you know, depending on what's
Yeah,
in our life, we'll say, I haven't seen it, you know, you can, but you need to get out of
I'll
this.
be like, I don't care how you go
I
home.
don't
You
care
know,
how you
I
come,
could
but you need to get out of here.
no, but he and for him to come and ask me and the way he used to behave, I knew that it really took everything in him to
Yes.
come and tell me that he doesn't have money to go home. Like I don't have any other money. I only have my bus ticket. And
Uh,
so from that day, he just became kind. Like he just, and then you'd make sure other people were don't like kind to me. And that helped me also in the class. I was able to build more confidence and started teaching. And I actually taught for a year and a half. I
wow.
was able to teach. I became really good at teaching and I'll get
Well, you know,
so
one thing that people can get from that particular lesson is that
mhm,
people are mean to you, just
mhm.
don't quit, but don't
Yes.
off or go left
Mhm,
like times we can do with people
mhm.
have a right because they're being so mean. But just be
Yeah.
persistent, be patient, be kind, and
Mhm,
eventually God will set it up where they will need something from you and He will
mhm.
turn that thing around.
Yes.
That
And
was
yeah, and I just learned from earlier on just to like no matter how the situation looks or no matter how unqualified you feel about a situation or a place where you've been placed, just hold on. When God allowed you to be there because he knew you're capable, but most of the time we just don't know what's inside of us, but God already knows. And God is very notorious in just calling us the way he sees us than
yeah.
the way our situation is. So
Well, you know, when I'm going, my conference is fresh, so I still have these things fresh in my mind. But Dr. said, you know, you have to see yourself afar off.
far off. I like that. Yes.
I see how to work this Microsoft thing now, but I see myself teaching.
Yes. Ah,
I
it
love it.
is. Yes. Mhm,
Well, let's switch a little bit because I
mhm,
see this as being like your foundation
mhm,
that you know was not easy or comfortable. Like we
mhm.
always want to see things that oh, this is going to happen this way, but there are struggles before you get
Yes.
your successes. So
Mhm.
tell me about maybe. Did you have any struggles after you got to that point and you were trying to
Oh,
get opening your own business? What kind of struggles did you find and how did you go break those
so
limitations?
so when it comes to of course I like when I started working, I ended up getting one job after the other. I graduated, I got my bachelor's in business management, and then I got my master's in organization development. And then I got a good job and I had kids and I just had, it looked, I looked good on paper, but then I
Um,
knew deep inside that I wanted to do more with my life. This is not like the job is good, but I don't want, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so
the
it's
money, weren't you? And like when you work in the hospital or something, making good
Yes,
money?
I was working. Yeah, I was working in the hospital, one of the big hospitals here in Houston. And I was in HR and I was doing good and everything. I had benefits, I could take care of my kids and all that. But then now I deep inside, I felt like I just can't keep doing this. And I know sometimes and I knew that there's something more I'm supposed to do, and I couldn't articulate what it is. And it was very difficult making the decision to actually leave because I believe that I have this dream or I want to do this thing that I can't even put it in words yet. And
Right.
so, yeah. And so I know a lot of people struggle with that because you know that, okay, to other people, I look like maybe I was being ungrateful. I was not thinking of my children. I'm not thinking of my family. Like, what is, like, why would you leave this for something that you cannot see, something you don't even know whether you'll succeed in, and all that? But deep inside, I just knew I had had enough. I can't do this anymore. I'm just done. And I know, like, even right now in corporate America, they call it the great exit, because a lot of people that are leaving corporate America to just pursue their dreams. They're tired of doing the 8 to 5 or being given only 2 weeks of vacation. And for me, my children are small, and I never, for like the 5 years that I worked at the other job, I never saw my kids going to school. For
Mm.
5 years, every single day.
Yeah.
Yes, I had to wake up to leave the house at 6. And then they will wake up at 6:15, 6:30. And then by the time I come from work, it was also 6 o'clock, and then they have to go to bed by 7:30. And I did that. I never used to know what's going on with them. I never used to know what's going on with them in school. You ask them questions because they're so young. They're like, school was fun. I played, all those things, but you don't really know.
Engaged in them and knowing what they're doing. So
And then I didn't even,
that's not you.
and then I was always so tired. So it wasn't even like I had interest in knowing what they want, how everything went, but I was too tired to pursue. Like, even if I hear like, oh, this person was mean to me, I'll be like, okay, just try and do this and do that. But you don't really know,
Let's pray for them and go to sleep.
Yes, it's just like, God. And then I thought this was the only life I could have. And that's the same thing. Like, a lot of people feel as though the way life is right now, you cannot change. This is how it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so when I made the decision to leave corporate America, when I left, I started going to my daughter's school to pick her up. The first day, they didn't know whose car that was. So they had to, they're like, who's this?
It's my mommy.
Like, mommy. They're like, oh, because they had never really seen me around. And then so I started to be involved. I started taking her to her class, to the door. I get to meet the teacher. Then I would go for lunch with her. I would just visit her a lot, get to know her friends, how they do things, I started knowing a lot. But what I discovered, even what broke my heart, was when they used to have all those little parties in class, where they 30-minute parties. Of course, I can't drive all the way from the other side of town to come for a 30-minute party. And then they'll, it just the whole thing, or you have to ask for time off, or you have to ask for PTO, just different things. So I never used to do that. So I noticed in the class, everybody's parents were there when I went. So I asked her, since we never used to come for your parties, who did you used to sit with? And she said, oh, I just used to sit with my friends' parents, whoever would let me sit with them.
Oh
my gosh. So as a parent, I just felt so bad. I was like, oh my gosh, she's been having all these little things in school. And then she was like one of the brightest in the class. So should have celebrations, different things, but I just couldn't get time off from work. And so it reinforced my decision to know that I made the right choice, even though I didn't have the money, I didn't have the business opportunity or whatever it is that I wanted. I knew that I made the right decision to just make myself available for my kids. And then the second thing I told God was, help me.
Before you leave that point, I want to stay there for a minute, because a lot of people are very aggressive and wanting to achieve. They want much, and they want to make all of this money, but money does not buy you happiness. And so I'm hearing that you gave up that money And so then you gave up that job, which meant you had to give up some money and some things that
Oh,
you
yeah. Mhm.
could not do financially.
Mhm.
So I think that people, when they find a job where they can spend time with their kids, where they can do this or can do that, they're not so stressed, even with all the money. You,
Mhm.
you address
Yeah.
that women are really working, making, I mean, big figure salaries, but inside
Yeah.
there's a emptiness and
Yeah.
all the money, but no life.
Yeah. And that's so true, because I could like I could plan, let's say, for a vacation for me to take the kids to Disney World because I had the money. But then now it came to a place where all we could go do was go to Chick-fil-A. But
Yeah,
my daughter told me, I would rather spend time with you at Chick-fil-A than go to Disney World. I'd rather just have you.
that's
And
good.
so, and then they started showing me and then I just started realizing being there with their friends or hanging out with them, laughing and doing all kinds of things with them, how it was making such a big difference in their lives, and even getting to see their thought process. Because, sometimes you can't really know, like sometimes a teacher can tell you your child was doing this and you start saying, no, my child can never do this. But then now you start to see, oh, my child can do this. So I need to correct this because the teacher was not wrong. So
Yeah, I know that's a good one too. We have to go in there and actually see our little kids, our little babies. But
mhm,
I think that's so great that women, especially, because I know when I could have gone. I had dreams of going into corporate America, and
mhm,
I'm great at running things, and I could have run offices and be a part of this, and even run for political. I could have done all of those things.
yes, mhm,
I remember when one of my child's teacher told me they were not being successful in school, and I
mhm,
changed my career and went into teaching. And I went into teaching, and there was a lot less money. All of my little teaching money went for me buying stickers for my kids and little prizes for my kids in classroom. It paid for my daycare, it paid for my gas, it paid for my insurance, and there was nothing left. So the
mhm,
money was not there, but I was there on holidays with my kids. I
mhm,
was there in summer with my kids. And there
mhm.
were times when I could take off and just go and be in the classroom, like you said, for different things, field trips. So I think that we and nothing wrong with those women that want to climb the corporate ladder.
Mhm,
But I think that when you're talking about happiness, are you happy, or are
mhm.
you really facing a lot of limitations that you don't even know?
And and that's really good. And I don't even want to make any parent, any lady to feel
Right.
that, any mom to feel guilty about where they are, because
Yes.
in the whole process of it, I also realized I needed to make money in order to take care of these kids in the lifestyle that I want them to have. And so I started to look for the different business opportunities that I would do, but I prayed and told God, I want to make sure whatever I do is going to allow me to still be balanced so that I can have my kids, I can be able to do the things we need to do, and and still be there for them and make money. And so what I found was, there's a story I had Tony Robbins saying how he met like this. There was this someone in the streets, a beggar, who asked him for a quarter. And Tony Evans had a lot of money with him, and he kept asking the guy, do you only want a quarter? And that guy said, that's all I want. Just give me a quarter. He had $100 bills, so he had to look somewhere else to get a quarter, and gave him the quarter. And so what I realized was, sometimes we don't ask God for what we want because we don't even think it's possible. And that in itself, it's a limitation on how we think, maybe how we've been brought up. Being brought up in Kenya, we were told, you go to college no matter what, then you get a good job. No one ever said, go and do a business. If you even think getting out of that to do a business, that's like, what in the world are you thinking? There's only success if you go to college, get a good job. That's the only guarantee. And so a lot of us think of, we actually think that way, like, okay, if I go to college, then maybe I can get a good job and then I'll be able to take care of my kids. But we find more and more that you can follow those steps, but you won't find the balance you're looking for. Because
Balance.
when you get the job, that job, as you go higher, demands more and more of your time, and you'll have less and less opportunity to feel balance with your family. And so that's how I went into business, because I asked God to help me find something I can do that will help me make money and still take care of my kids, still have time with my kids. And that's how I started my business. That's how I started the breaking limitations. And also part of it is the BL insurance, which is the insurance part that we do. Because in that part, I'm able to do what I need to do, and I can do it with my kids. So like even because even like 2 weeks ago, I went to Dallas with them for like 4 days, and I was with them. I went for my conference, then would go to the park, would go to play in the pool and all kinds of things. So you can get an opportunity that can allow you to do the things that you desire, because not everybody wants to spend time with their kids, or not.
Yeah.
People have different things, but
Right.
whatever you desire.
You got to make sure that, parents know, or women know, you don't have any limitations. You may be the president or the vice president, and you have money to pay people to take care of your kids, and you're happy. The thing we're trying to say is, if you're happy and you don't feel like you're missing something, and some parents, I don't miss it, drop them off the daycare, we're good.
And that's fine.
You are reaching, your goals and your milestones. Everybody's different. So we're not saying everybody needs to do this, but we're saying balance. You need to find some balance though in there, no matter what you do.
Correct. And you have to also know that you are an individual. And that's one of the things that I even teach, even in my classes, when I talk about discovering your superpower, because
because I don't want to get away from here. Let me just say that the first thing that you did from that conference as breaking limitations is you started your own business. And I think that's what a lot of us need to be not afraid to do, to start that you do. So tell us about that and what you offer to women.
Okay. And so first of all, I started some businesses that were not successful before I got to breaking limitations.
Share that don't be afraid to fail at a business. Kick it aside.
Yes. And actually I had because when I was a wellness coach, and I was trying to launch that, but it wasn't really picking up. And I remember I had this client who she paid me for the services. And then after a few weeks, she said she wants a refund. I want my money back because you didn't give me the services I wanted. And so that just broke my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, just when I thought my business is about to launch, to pick up, then it's now. So, but that was such, it was a determining moment for me, a learning experience. She said she didn't like XYZ and all that. So how can I fix it? And so in the whole process of it all, it taught me how to seek help so I can know how to become a better coach, because sometimes you have the information, but maybe you don't know how to put it in a way that it's somebody else can use it. Or maybe it was just a learning experience for me to realize that also when you're creating a business, know that some people will not like the services, they'll need a refund, and you can't, just understanding all those different things that maybe and I'd not thought through even when I started my business. Right. And so I did a couple of different things. And then that's when I started the breaking limitations. And with the breaking limitations, our mission is to empower, to equip, and to promote. So everything I wanted to do was to make sure that we're empowering someone, we're either equipping them, or we are promoting someone who has broken limitations. And so in the process of doing that is when I got an invitation. No, someone actually sent me a message. I had helped her create something and promote her event. And so she told me that this TV station is looking for people who are new who don't have a contract with another TV show, and they want you to, they're looking for they have a spot and they want to fill it with someone who can do a show. And so the first person I thought was you. And I was like, me? I was used to be afraid of,
Okay.
so I used to be, so just to let people know, I used to be afraid of talking in front of people. I already had the,
oh my goodness. You got that confidence down. Now you can talk.
Yes, I could not talk to, I was afraid of talking in front of people. I already had the stories within me of my experiences where people would tell me about my accent and everything.
Yeah.
And so all those things make that where you're thinking that maybe I'm just not good enough, or situations where that would arise, they need a volunteer to do something that requires speaking. I just wouldn't volunteer because I just never, I never even, I wouldn't even think to volunteer because I just never thought I would be that kind of person.
Yeah.
Because I never even saw myself there. And so when this lady said that, I was like, what? Like, what?
So that kind of bring that is how you got your confidence to be able to start.
Yes. And before then, God had started dealing with me a lot about he started dealing with me about his love for me. And I think the Bible says perfect love casts out fear. Yeah. And so when there's fear, that means that the love has not been perfected. The love is there and it's perfect, but we've just not gotten the revelation of how that love is perfect in that God has for us. And so God took a lot of time teaching me about his love. And you just give different experiences or different little things that he would just show me that this is because I love you. And so that's how I started to understand that, okay, he loves me, then he's not going to put me in a situation where I'll feel threatened or where I'll be harmed or where. Yes. So I started, and then because the enemy uses fear. Because like even the Bible says that there's that scripture of God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. Fear is one thing, but it takes three things to overcome it. It takes love, it takes power, and it takes a sound mind. And so, fear is the introduction of every negative thing in your life. Once there's fear, then the enemy can bring anything else. When Eve felt like she couldn't, like God was holding out from giving her knowledge and all that, is when she ate the fruit. It was all because of fear of thinking that what if maybe God he didn't love me enough, or he didn't want me to know this. And so she ate the fruit. But in our lives, all fear comes like with what ifs, like, oh, what if this happens? What if I step out and this happens? What if this happens? But then now perfect love tells you that if he puts me there, he has already equipped me with what I need. I'm just waiting for it to manifest.
If you get fired, he's already equipped you to be able to I can do this. Even if and I think you're right. You have to not be afraid to fail. So tell me, before we get too further in it, and I forget to, so how can people find out about because I know we can't do it all in this one show, but so do you one-on-one with people, or do you do conferences or groups? So tell me how your ministry works, your company works.
So there are several things I do. So when it comes to like the Breaking Limitations Academy, that's how I offer those classes. And those are the main things I want to do in this season more than anything else, because I think there's such a big need for people to discover their own superpower, for them to know. And so they can find that in my website. And also I have some classes coming up. And so because
I give your website too, so we can write it.
BreakingLimitationsNow.com.
Okay, BreakingLimitationsNow.com. I like.
Yes. So that's the website. And then but they can also find me on Facebook, Breaking Limitations with Joyce Melendez.
Okay.
That's the Facebook page.
Okay.
And Facebook is like the most updated place because it has all the upcoming things that are coming, and then also anything that people want, like some inspiration, tips on different things. I put them also on my Facebook page.
But that's great. Well,
Mhm.
I know that, and I was telling you that after my book comes out next year, I'm going to have you come to the conference and talk
Yeah.
about because each little girl has a life and a story, and
Mm-hmm.
see how your thing as a little girl being so joyful and happy helped you
Mm-hmm.
come, even though the limitations and the things came your way, you found
Yes.
a way and by
Mm-hmm.
going through it and
Mm-hmm.
finding joy beyond what you were going through. So,
Mm.
can you give
Yes.
a little bit about what when they come to your classes? How is it set up, and how what will they be experiencing?
So right now I'm doing it's gonna be online. It's an online class. It's gonna be like a mastermind via Zoom.
Okay.
And yeah, because I have people reaching out to me, not just from the US, but also from Africa. And
I
so, yeah, so I have a class coming up, and I have several people who've registered, and they're all from different parts of the world. So I have to,
get
but I want them to be in the same class because of the experience, and also people hearing other people's story allows them to see that I'm not by myself. And if this person can overcome it and they're in this country, then surely I can overcome it. And I'm here where I have more resources. So it's gonna be it's gonna be it's a Zoom class. And yes,
But
and
do you
we'll
have
talk about.
it ready, or are you going to put it on the website or
So
Facebook?
I have, yeah, so I have the date. The first one is gonna be it's actually gonna be in 2 days. So, but so I'll have upcoming ones also coming that will be coming up in September. And so they can keep checking on my Facebook page because I'll have those in September coming up.
Okay, so
Mhm.
they can
Yeah.
look on your website, kind of follow you on your Facebook
Mhm.
page, kind of
Yes,
aware of when those classes are going to be offered.
exactly. Yes. And because the classes, I really want to teach people to realize that everybody has we all have we all have a superpower within us. And
Right.
so because sometimes we just with when we think of superpower, we just think of Spider-Man, all those things
That
that kids.
my
Yeah,
grand
but
Spider-Man, she's always trying to web me, and I'm like, okay, we got Superman over here. Now she wants to Spidey into the Superman. So
oh my gosh, yes. And so when we think of superpower, we always think of just, kids, and there's all these different things. But when God created us, He gave us something specific that is only specific to us. Like
wow,
if it's for me, it's specific to me. And I cannot ask someone else to validate that because they didn't create me. So they don't know what potential they put in me. So a lot of times we stop ourselves because of things that people say to us. Because a lot of times I've been told, oh, you can't do this, or you do this the wrong way, or you sound different. We don't want, all those things that people can tell you, and that can make you shy away. Because I never thought I'd be in a position where I would have to speak out.
mhm.
Like that was like the last thing in my mind. I didn't want to speak, and then I didn't want to speak in front of people. And I mean, I just never wanted that. But then now I realized all my life, when all those different experiences were actually trying to make me doubt what God wanted me to do. And He wanted me to be able to speak to people. So sometimes the things that you think you're afraid of, or things that think you're incapable of, those could be the same things that God wants you to do. And He's equipped you. But
Yes,
yes, He's already equipped you. So it's up to you, first of all, to just start to trust Him, and then also to start working on the gift. Because like when I started the show, I have over 200 recordings of just the introduction, telling people, welcome to the Breaking Limitations show. My name is Joyce Mirandes.
right.
My son can say it. My daughter can say it.
They know how to say it.
because I used to look at people doing it and I'm like, how could they do it? I mean, I'm not like so and so, I can't do this. And God was like, just practice. And I remember one time listening to one coach, he's from Kenya, and I listened to him just saying how he practices in the mirror, and he's very eloquent. And so when I listened, I was like, oh, I could practice. And I started to practice. I would be in the shower, I'll be brushing my teeth, I'll be this, I started to practice. And so it's your gift it's going to require work, especially when you've had a lot of negativity said to you about that, what you're trying to pursue. But as long as you feel in your heart, this is what God has called me to do, God has equipped you. Practice, do your part.
Yes.
And when you do your part, he's going to do his part. Because
Yes.
for me, the more I practiced, the more opportunities would arise, and I would be able to, I would get opportunities to interview people who in my day-to-day, I would never even have met them. Like I would yes. And so
You've been around traveling a lot too. So you were in Bahamas,
yes. And
mental health workshops and
mhm,
things.
yes. And that was really such an honor being there. They had the minister for social services, different people who were there, and just the event itself was it was so life-giving. And also to think that a few years back, I was so afraid of even talking in front of two people. And now I'm flying to a different country to
I,
MC an event.
I love the Bahamas. I really do. I love the people there too.
Yes. And so it was really amazing. And even with the mental health summit, we do have another one coming up here in Houston, and it's gonna be October 15th. So, and I also, the website is kingdomhealthsummit.com. Yeah, so
KingdomSummit.com,
kingdomhealthsummit.com. Yes.
October 20th. Yes, I'm
Mhm.
going to see if I can get there because it's going to
October
be
15th, not 20th, 15th.
October 15th. Okay, very
Mhm.
good.
But
So
I'll
we,
have it also on my website, so
oh
people
yeah.
can just find it on my website too. Yeah.
Well, listen, is there any other, our time has come to a close. Is there like one thing that you just kept burning that we didn't talk about that you want to tell our
I want
audience?
to, yes, so I want to encourage everybody, just whatever you feel in your heart to do, don't limit yourself based on your circumstances. Just take courage and start walking towards that assignment or that gift. And even if you fail, it doesn't mean that you'll always fail. It just means that you've learned a different way of not doing it, but keep pursuing. Because as you keep, just don't put yourself in a position where you're saying that this is all life can ever offer, because that's not true. You have you can become everything that God has put in your heart for you to become. Just don't limit yourself. Don't say that, oh, it's because of my age, I'm too old to start this, or don't say that I'm limited with these different things. Just take courage, just like Gideon. When you read Judges chapter 6, Gideon never even thought that he could be someone great. He was just minding his own business, and when God started calling him mighty man of valor, he was almost getting offended, like, why you this
Me.
don't call me that. Yeah, don't tell me stuff like that.
Right.
And a lot of people are in that space where you feel like, please don't even call me those names, because I know I'm not this. But yet God has the ability God has those gifts within you, and he has the ability to bring them out. And then God is the accelerator of time. There are things that people did in college, and they did it for several years, that God has allowed me to do in a space of 2-3 years. So know that God is the accelerator of time. Just because you didn't get the same experience as someone else, he
Yes.
can actually give you a mentor, or he can put you in a space where you'll be able to learn it quickly, or even he'll accelerate your mind, so that things that took people 3 years to understand, you can understand them in 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
don't limit God. God wants to break limitations of our lives, especially women. because we've put ourselves in the background for so long because of XYZ, just a lot of challenges and a lot of things that happen to women, or you have to give up your career, you have to give up this in order for this. But this is the season that God is calling for Deborah to arise. Deborah had so many hats. She was a prophet, she was a mother, she was a wife, she was this, she went to war, all these different things, but God gave her the ability to do that. And the same way, God is calling Deborahs to arise in this season.
Yes, amen, amen, amen. Thank you so much. I receive it. Everything
Yes.
saying that God has just been saying to me, so I cannot wait for the coming up and to
Yes.
more about the things that you're doing. So breaking limitations now.
Now.com. Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for being my guest. It was amazing. And we thank you here at Tea Talk. And we pray God's blessings upon you as you continue to grow and go. And Tea Talk are right there watching you, pushing you, and also joining you. So that's all for today. Thank you for joining us on Tea Talk Time. And remember, join us again next Sunday at 3 for Tea with Lady O. We'll have some more hot topics. We'll see you then. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.